Hey, this is Brandon Kelm from American Standards. You're watching So Fucking Cool. Keep it on.
All right, so for King Cool here with Brandon from American Standards. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, good. I understand you just wrapped up a tour.
Yeah, we actually got back from doing a Midwest. We hit a lot of cities that we haven't hit in probably over a year, so it's kind of good to see some old faces and also some people that might have just caught us off the new album. So it was really cool to do that. We actually modeled the entire tour off the very first tour we did with this band 6 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Now, you guys just put out a new release in April, is that correct?
Yep. Put out a new release in April called Anti-Melody.
And you went ahead and put out a couple of singles right off the bat, and you went ahead and shot videos. I mean, you don't see a lot of bands these days spending the time and doing the video, doing the tour, doing, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of just focus on one thing and put it out there.
Yeah, man, it's like you got two extremes, but for the most part, I think since it's so easy to record and to get your stuff online, I think people kind of skip the touring and the videos and all the other stuff, and they're just constantly putting out new content. For us, we knew how important things like YouTube are. YouTube's one of the top music platforms outside of Spotify right now, so we had to get something on there that would catch people's eye and maybe start a little fire behind it. So yeah, we put out the first single for Writer's Block Party, which we did through Lambgoat, and then we put out the second single for Carpe Diem Tomorrow, which Revolver Records premiered the video for that.
See, in this day and age, you almost have to start putting out videos and all kinds of stuff like that, because no matter where you go, you see a phone or a tablet or some kind of shit in somebody's hand. You know what I'm saying? The attention span of people this day and age is zero. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely true, man. It's like not only do you have to put out a video, but you got to put out more than just like a band standing in an empty warehouse playing, because people see that over and over again, and they watch the first 30 seconds and they're done with it. So we definitely try to shoot to make something a little more entertaining and a little out of the box.
Now, how's life on the road treat you, man? I mean, people don't understand that it's a job, you know. They think it may be the best job in the world, but they don't realize that it's a lot of work. I mean, and especially in a band in your situation where you guys are breaking out, but I'm sure you don't have a million roadies and...
Yeah, we're not traveling with a big crew or traveling in style by any means. We go in typically a 15-passenger van. We alternate nights, so one night we'll sleep in the van, the other night we'll get in a hotel so we can all, take a shower and clean up and not smell horrible, But it does get rough. I think it's kind of a product of what people see on stuff like Instagram and Facebook when they're following a celebrity or when they're following a band. All they're seeing is that one snapshot, that one picture of them doing something really awesome that day, or, partying backstage or whatever it is. They're not seeing the 6-hour drive where you're literally just sitting in a van waiting to get to the next city. So, if you only saw the in-between show time, it'd be a lot more boring looking online.
Not only boring, but it's also hectic. I mean, especially when you're a band that's doing everything on their own. I mean, you got to worry about, is there catering that day? Is there per diem, sound check, setting up, interviews? I mean, your day it starts off doing stuff till the time that you guys get off the stage and finally get back on that bus. And once you're on that bus, you're on the road again.
Yep, it's pretty much nonstop, just responding to emails, making sure nothing got canceled, nothing fell through, or nothing's running late. Everything's going to be working when we get there. We've took the approach for the majority of this band's lifespan. We've been around for almost 6 years now. For about 5 years of that, we've been entirely DIY. We're booking our own tours. We're booking our own press. We're doing, everything. We're working on our own, finding the studio, finding the producers, finding all that, and kind of coordinating it. So like you said, it's not only the part of writing the music, but we're pretty much managing every aspect of it. So those 6-hour drives, but when we have service, we're definitely making the most of it to get everything done that we need to.
And one thing people don't understand is the dangers of being on the road. I mean, do you guys take turns driving and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah. For the most part, I think, with the exception of one tour, it's always been the guys in the band switching off. We kind of got a guy to come with us on one of the last tours where he actually drove through the night for us, which was like a completely different experience. Because normally what we do is we wake up early, we drive all day, we get to the venue on time to do our sound check and kind of hang out in the immediate area around the venue. We had one tour we actually brought an extra guy on with us. He sold merch and he drove through the night, so we actually had some time to spend in the city. But to your point, I mean, for the most part, we're just switching off, doing 3 hours at a time and trying not to fall asleep.
I mean, people think a big road trip is fun. I mean, it may be if you're going to a different state and you're doing it for a couple of hours, but it's a different thing when you're doing it for a couple of weeks or months,
Yeah, yeah. I think the first week is where everything feels fresh and new. Then around the second or third week's when it starts feeling like that routine, where you're you get into that not rut, but you just get into that routine of getting up, driving, switching off, stopping at a gas station every couple hours. I think we see more gas stations than we see landmarks on the road.
Oh, of course. It's not like you guys got a chance to go ahead and stop. And this ain't a big vacation, You got you're on a schedule and you got things to do. And like I said, you never know what can get thrown your way. I mean, look what just happened a few days ago with the adrenaline mob. I mean, that was a terribly unfortunate incident where the bassist was actually killed and band members were injured.
Yeah, it's tragic, and that's happened to way too many bands. I mean, you've got, I think, the Ghost Inside last year had something very similar, and their drummer got pretty injured as well. And I think the more you're out there on the road, the higher likelihood that's going to happen. It's just kind of when it's going to happen. Luckily, I think for a lot of bands, it does happen to us, not as severe as what happened with them. Definitely my heart goes out to them and their family and everything. It's just a tragic loss, and it's one of those things that no one can plan for what happens when something goes south like that.
Yeah, and it's got to be hard to go ahead and pick up the pieces and carry on, and the one thing that I see is that after a tragedy like that, a band's interest spikes. I mean, look at what happened with Chris Cornell. I mean, it was a suicide. It was unfortunate, and 2 days later, he's breaking the charts. All of his old catalogs are, in the top 10 again, and you see things like this, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those you don't know what you have until it's gone things, or you don't necessarily appreciate it. So I think, unfortunately, the way that news works is typically bad news is the thing that cuts through the most, and if it's just par for the course, it's another band touring, another band putting out an album. Yeah, they're generating some press, but it's nothing like when one of these tragedies happen and it ends up everywhere. And maybe it gets people that used to listen to the band more frequently to kind of dive back into the catalog. But I think it also gets a lot of new eyes on it, because when people maybe, especially the younger generations, kind of hear how much kind of buzz, for lack of a better word, is going around it. It forces them to kind of look into it and maybe discover something they hadn't listened to before. And then, unfortunately, won't be able to ever hear in that original lineup again.
Now, with the Chris Cornell tragedy, that definitely had to hit home with you, and not in the fact that you guys are the same style of music, but the suicide of your guitar player that took place before the recording of this album.
Yeah, our guy Cody Conrad, he actually, him and I started the band. I had been in another band as well as he had. He literally just messaged me, or I think emailed me through like a Craigslist ad or something like that, and that's kind of how we met a little over 6 or 7 years ago. And we toured for several years with him. He wrote, first album, Still Life, with us, and wrote a lot for Death of Rhythm and Blues with us. And during the recording process of this most recent release, Anti-Melody, we had been working on it for maybe half a year or so, and basically I'm at work one day and I look down and I get a text from a good friend that was actually his roommate at the time, and said that he had committed suicide. He had hung himself, and it completely stopped everything. I mean, it's one of those things. As soon as I heard it, um, it doesn't make any sense for it to be a joke. But I just thought this is unreal. It can't be true, you know.
Right.
And it just kind of seeped in, like the gravity of it seeped in, and just the whole idea that, especially knowing Cody for so long and how he was just such a like in the moment guy and such a passionate guy, just on the stage and with everything that he did. So I just always look back and I think, man, this like he probably just got in one of his. I mean, he was not depressive and had a lot of anxiety and things like that. And he probably just got one of his moods, and he just acted on something that now he really can't take back. And for us, I mean, we're always going to be stuck with it. Everybody that his friends and family and everybody that touched through the band's going to kind of always be stuck with that same feeling of kind of just wishing we were there at the time to kind of talk him off the ledge. But definitely changed, us personally as well as a band.
Now, you mentioned that it was the two of you that do the writing process of the album. Did you notice a change in him, with lyrics or with the music styling or anything like that, or was it just something completely out of the blue?
I don't. It's hard to say. It's one of the things I think is like hindsight 2020. Because he was kind of always just up and down. That's just kind of his personality. He was always on a real high or a real low, as long as I had known him. And like I said, he always just acted on a whim. With any time that he had a feeling or any time that he had something that in his mind that he wanted to do or wanted to get done, there was no one that was going to stop him.
Right.
And looking back, when I see that, and you combine that type of personality with his really high ups and his really high or low downs, like it kind of clicks and makes sense. But we never thought it was to the point that anything like this would ever happen. I don't know that, like I said, it's just one of the things that, like, looking back, like, you can say that there's a million different things that would have clued us off to it. But we also thought, to the extent that if he was ever having a hard time, like, he was by no means like a solitary guy. He had tons of friends. Everybody that he met, he instantly made a connection with. So it was one of those things that we would have thought that if it ever would have got that bad, he would have reached out to somebody, if not us, somebody else. And it's unfortunate that he didn't.
Now, how do you put the pieces back of the puzzle? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, this happens. You're halfway through an album. I mean, what went on with you guys? I mean, how did you guys decide to finish the album? Did it change the approach that you're going? Did you write songs that were more influenced to the tragedy that just happened?
Yeah, we kind of, because we had several, I'd say like several songs that were like at 80%, and lots of which that had lyrics. But something that we had always done on our past releases is I wrote a lot more of like looking outward and kind of commenting on things and kind of more observing things outwardly. When this happened, and then shortly after, actually 2 months after, my father was diagnosed with cancer and he passed within 2 weeks. So both of those type things happened. Just it's like I said, it was just a 1-2 punch, really. And it's both those things happened, and to me, I kind of said, well, although I don't generally write so personally about my personal life and personal experiences, I couldn't not try to put some of that into the album, put some of that into the art, and it kind of like helped us cope in a sense. But as therapeutic as it was, it's like also really hard, because I think now that we're playing these songs live, we're starting to connect with people that has gone through similar experiences. I was actually just telling my girlfriend earlier today, I had a guy that had sent me a picture, and we met him in Denver, and he bought a T-shirt, and he sent us pictures with wearing a shirt and everything, and it's telling me how the song "Cancer" or about my father's really helped him because his wife had passed of cancer recently, and those are the kind of connections we never really had with our old songs, since they weren't as personal to us. So I guess it's good. There's that good that comes from it, but it's also like this constant like reminder, and like I get into, I guess I don't know. I get like when we start to play these songs, or after, sometimes I just get hit with this memory of like being in there the last few minutes with my dad in the hospital, or the moment after I heard about Cody and things like that. And so it kind of like puts me right back in that place. So I'm not sure if it's healthy or it's maybe hurting me a little bit at times. But
It, it's definitely got to be a
it
bittersweet feeling, you know. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
all the tragedies that went through, and now the album's taking off, the tour's going great, and you know,
yeah, exactly.
it's got to be hard as a front man for a band to go ahead and push through all that, especially a band that's doing all the work. You know, it's got to definitely take a toll on you.
Yeah, yeah, it's been an experience, and I can't say that it'd be better or worse if we didn't decide to put it into our art. Just because all I know is what we did decide to do. You know, maybe if I would have bottled it all up inside, it would have been a hell of a lot worse. I guess I'll never know that.
And you guys are just going to keep on pushing through. I understand you guys are going to take a little time off here in the summer, and then you're going to go right back in the road in the fall.
Yep. Yeah, we're actually. Yeah, so we this album we actually started writing it in June of 2015, so 2 years ago. We didn't finish it until 2016, and we just released it a couple months ago. So to us now, a lot of these songs, although the lyrical content is very new, some of the song structures and riffs that we had on this song feel to us old because they've been out for a while. So we're kind of already working on what's next, which we're planning on potentially putting out an EP. Hopefully early 2018, that would be next year. So that's kind of the goal with that. We've got some big local shows here coming up shortly. We're playing actually this week, which I don't know when this will go up, but we're playing on the 18th with our Smith Get All the Girls. And then on the 28th, we're playing with He Is Legend and another band called Highlander. So we're doing some local shows here and there as we're writing. And then we'll get right back in the studio. And before the end of the year, we're doing another East Coast. So in September, West Coast. We're going out in September to do some California shows, to go up through Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and kind of wrap back down through Salt Lake and Las Vegas.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Now, before we started the interview, we were talking just a little bit about social media and the way it influences people. Do you see yourself now in a position where people are actually going ahead and reaching out to you because of the things that happened to you? I mean, I understand the one you told me the story of the guy who came up to you and showed you the shirt and things like that. I mean, but do you see a lot more of that now? Because people can be so intimate in these tweets or Facebook messages or posts, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We actually the day after the full album came out on iTunes and all the other sites, I had quite a few messages from people that I didn't personally know. That maybe either saw us on the road or picked up the album from seeing it on a press release or something. So I had quite a few people that I actually screenshotted, and I sent it to the guys the other day. And like I said, just messages that we typically wouldn't get as a way that people are connecting to the song. So I think that was really cool, and we continue to get those. Another thing with social media, though, we always try to keep things a little more tongue in cheek. So like 90% of the stuff we put out there is more kind of just having fun and a little more sarcastic than most. So we're not really, bumming people out, I guess.
Right.
Or getting too political or anything. Maybe that's just not the right atmosphere for it or right place for it, But yeah, we do try to, with this album more than any, we've tried to like really tell the story of the album, what the songs mean to us, and why it's important to us. And I don't think we've ever done that with an album in the past. But because of that, I think we've got a lot of people that have connected with it much more intimately.
Well, being
less because I with all my old stuff, I really honestly I hide in a hell of a lot of metaphor. So a lot of the times, I bet you on the old albums, other people might interpret one song in 10 different ways, and those 10 ways might not be the way that I meant it to come across, but
right.
It's probably equally as valid for each way,
Well, being an artist, social media's got to be definitely a double-edged sword. I mean, like you said, you can't come across political, or you can't come across this because you're going to end up pissing somebody off one way or another, you know what I'm saying? So it's always got to be a hard juggling act, so to speak, of what to put up there and how much to put up. And
yeah, man, it's funny. You see, I was actually talking to some people yesterday about how you see a lot of bands that like kind of all they do is they put out these like memes and like funny pictures that have nothing to do with the band, they'll get a couple hundred or a couple thousand people interacting with it. And then they put up like, hey, we're going to play this show next week, or hey, I worked on this album for the last 2 years of my life, and it really means a lot to me. And they got like 5 people that interact with it. So that's kind of like the interesting thing. It's like as you put stuff out, people don't really interact with the stuff that might be to you more meaningful. So it's kind of that balancing act. But it's also, I think another reason why we really, like, at least vocally and lyrically, I try to refrain from putting more personal stuff in my lyrics in the past, is I think as you put more personal stuff in there, just the nature of putting stuff online, you're always going to have the trolls that kind of come out and bash it regardless, sometimes without even listening to it. So when you put out something more personally and you have people bashing it, you kind of take it a little more to heart than if it's something that's not as personal. What we found was kind of interesting about this time around, since it started getting a lot more press and places like, you know, Alternative Press picked up on it and Revolver Magazine, and it started getting to a lot of people that had never heard of our name or never heard our music before. And we very quickly saw that kind of dynamic where you've got all these people that are so stoked for us because they've been following us for 5 or 6 years. And then you also have these people that you could tell right away probably didn't even listen to the music. They're just kind of like bashing the way we look or bashing the style of music that we play or something like that, you know? So yeah, social media, just like you said, is a very much a double-edged sword where it helps you get yourself out there a lot more, but you cutting through with anything meaningful is really fucking hard.
Oh, 100%. And then, like you said, keeping your mouth quiet after someone fucking says something that you so want to be like, you know what? Fuck you. But unfortunately, you can't do that because you're going to get 100 more assholes out there. They're going to be like, oh my God, fuck this band because look at the way he talks to his
we try
fans.
to pick our battles wisely. We're never the band that, like, if you start talking shit about us online, we're gonna come right back with it. But we'll definitely play into it and purposely like pour some fuel on the fire. Some guy that's just blasting us, like he'll send us a long message. I'll be like, you guys fucking suck and this and that. We'll just respond back with something that looks like a canned message. Be like, hey, thanks so much for picking up the album. It really means a lot to us, man. Hopefully we catch you next time on tour. And then it pisses them off even more so. So we'll try to cleverly play into it, but we're never like digging deep and looking at their profile and trying to hit them where it hurts.
It makes you wonder if you think if social media was out years ago when like Black Sabbath was coming up and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, how do you think shit like that would have got handled? You know what I mean? No one's ever had the opportunity to say, go fuck yourself to whoever they chose to because they could find them on Facebook or Twitter or wherever.
Yeah, I guess like sometimes, and you still hear these stories for people that like celebrities and dudes in bands and stuff that they'll get something sent directly to their home somehow, on a mailing address or a PO box. So I guess you might have had that back in the days, but like it wasn't that instant satisfaction. Like the thing now is like some dude's just sitting in his house drinking a couple beers. You can literally tweet at any celebrity that's out there and say the most ignorant shit that you want immediately without even thinking about it. Like back then when you had like Black Sabbath and stuff, if you're actually going to go out of the way to find out, somewhere to mail something and to write a letter, it's kind of a bigger commitment than the 2 seconds it takes to write a message.
Oh, for 100%, yeah. You got to do the research and go ahead and, fucking...
At that point, they almost earned it. I mean, like, if they did that to us, I'd be like, oh, man, you must have a point here.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, now with this, go ahead and click and type. I mean, it's amazing what people think it's okay to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, none of these people would ever come up to anybody and say the kind of shit that they think it's okay to put on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of funny, another thing with the trolls and stuff, I think people attack those people quicker than anything. So half the time, if we post something and we get some trolls on there that are responding back, before we even see that, there's probably 5 or 10 other people that have already jumped on them for us, people that do, follow us and like us or whatever it is. So honestly, like we don't even have to intervene in those cases.
Well, that's got to be...
We just sit back and laugh.
That's got to be a fun situation where you can go ahead and say, thank God, our fans went ahead and took care of this asshole for us for today.
Yeah, it's normally more entertainment than anything. None of us take it to heart, man.
I personally be making up a fake account. To be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, people want to follow up. They want to know more about you. They want to buy the album. They want to know when the tour starts. They want to know where the dates are going to be. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do?
Yep, pretty much any website, any social media platform / American Standard. So if they're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, that's all American Standard. We're on every music platform. So if you're checking out on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp, just look up American Standards. The most recent release is Anti-Melody. You can jump right back into our old catalog, which we've got 3 other albums up there. And if you go on Bandcamp, I mean, hell, on Bandcamp, our 3 old albums are all actually pay what you want. So you can pay a penny to get it. You can get it for free, or you can give us, whatever money you want us to dump right back into touring and recording.
That's awesome, man. Well,
yeah, we rather people hear that stuff than let it just sit there,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're in a day and age where people are gonna take it. You don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. I mean, that's got to be the hardest thing in the world, especially in a situation where you're doing everything on your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're gonna find it for free anyways. And I mean, the truth of the matter is, the only reason you see these bands from like the 70s and 80s that are back on the road is because they're not making money on their album sales anymore. The only way a band's making money is if they're touring and selling merch, and really touring is just a sense to sell merch too, right? So so yeah, we try to make anything. If you have any interest in the band, we make music as accessible as possible.
See, and that's cool too, because like as I mentioned, you may have the coolest job in the world, but it is a job, and you're not doing it for free. You know what I mean? At least people can go ahead and say, I don't even know what a CD costs these days, but 15, 20, you know what I mean? But I can throw you $5. That's what you know?
Exactly. And that's why the name your price on Bandcamp is really cool, because I think it evens out, or there's a ton of people that might grab it for free, but then we'll get the person out there, $30 or $40, which is more than we ever would charge for it. So it evens out in the end. But also, if you're grabbing it on iTunes and Amazon, they set the prices into some fraction of a penny for those sales. So like I said, the way that we record, the way that we tour is directly off the stuff, the T-shirts that we're selling online, and the vinyl and things like that people are still forking out money for.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and I know I'm going to see a lot of great things coming out of you. I see all the hard work that you're doing. I see the success on this album, and I know you guys are going to keep churning out, and I see another one's coming out next year. So,
hey, I appreciate you spending the time to talk to us, man. It's honestly the only way a DIY band like that, or like us, is able to do what we do, is by people are willing to take a chance by spending 5-10 minutes and listening to us, or talking to us, or sharing us. So I mean, I can't say enough nice things about you and all the other people that have decided to support us over the years.
Well, I like what you do. That's why I got you on the phone, man.
Hey, take it easy, man. Nice talking to you.
You too.